Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Paranormaly Beyond Disclosure. We are a weekly podcast focusing on the paranormal, the supernatural, and the metaphysical. Join us for thought-provoking discussions on paranormal phenomena, conspiracies, and all things unexplained as we talk to researchers and investigators about ghosts and hauntings, UFOs and aliens, urban legends, cryptids, and so much more. Please be sure to like and subscribe and follow to receive notifications when new content is made available. You can also visit us at paranormallypodcast.com for more content and information, including all our social links. Thank you again for watching or listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode of Paranormally Beyond Disclosure. So grab yourself a drink and a snack, turn the lights off on the way back, find yourself a nice comfy spot, and enjoy this episode of Paranormally. Stay with us, folks. Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in tonight. We have a great show for you. We have Bobbie RezNeck. Is it Calkin or Calkin?
Calkins.
Okay, good. He's a prominent person in the paranormal community. And I tell you, I've been friends with him on Facebook for quite some time. So I've been following him and what he's been doing. And what really sparked my interest with Bobbie is he's Native American, and he knows a lot of the folklore and things of that nature when it comes to Native American and the paranormal, UFO, cryptids, things of that nature. So, yes, thank you, Bobbie, for coming on with us. I'm very excited. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, paranormal investigator, psychic medium, ordained minister, a lovable asshole. What else? What else can I say? You know, I'm pretty much a goofball. I don't know, most of my time, except for when it comes to my investigations and when it's time to be serious. And you got to keep things lighthearted with the stuff that we deal with.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, what got you into the paranormal?
Well, both my parents were ministers in the spiritualist religion and mediums. So therefore, I grew up knowing about the spirit world from a little toddler. When they were going through classes to become ordained ministers and all the classes leading up to that, they didn't have a babysitter for me. So they shoved me in the corner where they're studying, give me some toys, and you sit and listen to what they're doing, not even paying attention and playing with the toys. All that information kind of absorbed like a sponge. So as a child, you know, I was able to give readings and everything else. And when it came to school age, the parents kind of said, hey, you know, we want you to have a normal childhood. And they kind of folded me back up and said, well, when it's time, you'll unfold again. So I kind of had the basis of that from the start. And then we lived in houses that had a lot of spirit activity, you know, so it was something normal to me to be around.
So you, as a youngster, and you was experiencing these different things, what was going through your mind? I mean, I'm sure you've experienced shadow people when you're young, and it's like,
Yep.
Hey, what was that? You know, I mean, what
Right.
goes through your mind when you think of something like that?
With the background that I already had as a child, it was normal.
Okay.
You know, I remember sitting at the church down in Cicero. It was the parents' the governing body to their church, the Evangelical Spiritualist Church. I remember sitting in the pews, you know, watching the minister give his sermons and do readings and stuff like that, and I'd see like a shadow figure off to the side, and to me, I was like, oh well, that must be one of his guides, one of his loved ones or something that's watching over him. Never given it a second thought. And it wasn't until years later that I found them online, and I was reading some of the stories and the testimonies about the church and what people have experienced. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. I seen that growing up. And I contacted a church and got back in close with them. And I had mentioned, you know, So the shadow figure people are talking about used to be to the left of the podium where the minister would stand and kind of peek out behind the side there. And Mihaela, who's the minister now, she goes, "Yeah, that's exactly where he used to be." And I'm like, wow, after all these years, I got answers on that one because I never really thought none of it. I just thought it was natural.
So you just grew up with it, and it wasn't even something that was anomalous, or were you even aware that, you know, this was something that wasn't accepted to exist, you know, when you were a child, or are you just literally?
Yes, as a young child, I was warned, watch who you speak to about what we believe in. Because at that point in time, like the Baptists, the Southern Baptists and all that, for example, they thought spiritualists were, you know, demons. You talk to demons and you're Satanists and all that. And there's still a little bit of that stigma there, but that's not the case. When you're speaking with spirit, you're speaking with people's loved ones, your guides, those on the other side. It's not we're speaking to anything negative, you know, and I'm a firm believer in that for a simple fact is, as a medium, you raise your vibration. By raising your vibration, you put out a higher, brighter light. And we all know darkness cannot exist in the light.
Mhm.
So with me saying that, when I do my thing, I know I'm not dealing with anything evil because the darkness can't exist. And you, like in your home, you flip on a light switch, can darkness be standing there in front of you? You know, it can't.
Right.
It doesn't exist. Let's see, we got some people commenting. What's up, everybody? So we got some of the followers in there, some of the friends.
I like to use the analogy of water and oil almost as to, or almost the frequency analogy. You know, like there's two frequencies, and if there's two let's say energies, and if they're two different frequencies, I mean, they can just pass right through each other. You know, there's no interaction, you know, whatsoever.
Exactly.
You know, I think that's a kind of good way to explain it.
Yeah, it is. You know, if you keep yourself at a higher vibration or a higher frequency, the lower stuff ain't going to bother with you.
And that's usually what I go to when I recommend things to people, you know, who are having, you know, hauntings, or I run into a lot of psychics who have, you know, harassment, you know, essentially kind of a psychic harassment or psychic attacks and things like that. To me, I've always felt, and I don't know, I'm interested to see what you think about this, that the more practical thing to do is raise your vibration, or that should be the fundamental thing that you do, rather than, not that you can't, you know, use sage if you find that's effective, you know, or cleansing rituals or other things like that. But I think primarily what you should do is raise your vibration as being the most effective thing to do.
Yeah, you raise your vibration. That's going to help tremendously. Another thing is cut the cords. If someone's able to psychically attack you, it means they're attached to you with a cord at some point in time, or a string, or whatever you want to consider it being. You cut them cords, now they have no contact to you no more. You know, so therefore they can't really attack you. They can try, but it's not going to work. It's not going to be as effective.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, prime example, when you talk to people that believe in demons and demonology and all that, you know, a demon can't just see you and say, "Hey, I think that guy's cool. Look, I'm going to go screw with him." You have to give them the right. You have to accept something that they're attached to into your life, or you have to accept them into your life in order for them to have power over you.
Yeah, I think that's true. Another thing about demons that I'm sort of coming around to the realization of is that entities of a really, really low vibration, I don't think are conducive at all to normal Earth environments, unless it's some place where, let's say, there was a murder or maybe satanic ritual or something that happened, or a war or some kind of thing that has, and this is what I think happens, you know, in occurrences like this, something actually happens to the fabric of space-time that lowers the frequency, let's say, of the space-time, and allows for the manifestation or partial manifestation of those entities. And if you're not in an area like that, it seems to me that you do not ever have, interactions or sightings of demonic entities. Is that you need to be in a kind of space like that, or maybe a person who's of that low vibration or compatible vibration.
Well, they say, well, there's a couple of things with this one. First thing with the vibrations, they say that, they're going to attack those that are the weakest. So those that are weak usually are on that lower vibration. They're the ones that are dealing with a lot of the depression and a lot of anxiety and just totally low. They can't see any sunshine because they're too busy basically being swallowed up by the darkness. So once you're that low and that weak, and you accept something that gives them the right to mess with you, they jump all over it. That's what they're going to target because they're easy. Just like in the wild kingdom, when a prey animal is looking for something to eat, it's going to pick off the weakest one out of the herd. It's just fundamentals. Now, also with what you were talking about, about spaces and time and all that, when you have a war, that's negative energy. Tons of negative energy there. So now you're putting that and you're staining that land with all that negative energy and that hate and everything that caused that war. It's going to linger. Mm-hmm. And once it all lingers, it can kind of draw in together. And that's where I think you get some of them dark manifestations at them places.
Yeah. And it almost seems as if maybe, the sort of veil that separates the dimensions in areas where, the energy has been really affected is almost thinner there, maybe, and somehow they're able to sort of interface and more than they could normally, in areas like that.
Yeah, I believe it's either that the veil thins or a portal gets created. Right. And if there's a portal there and it's going counterclockwise, anything can come through there. So that's what you got to kind of watch with where you go and what you do and how you interact with things.
Do you think that negative energy in and of itself, or like an extreme violent event or something, a really horrendous murder or something, could be enough to thin the veil enough to create an opening? Or how do you think a portal gets created in a situation like that? Or does not, something extra like a satanic ritual need to be formed? Or could it just be from such low, dense, low vibrating energy?
Well, we know there are natural portals that commonly happen just naturally. But on the other hand, someone that is dabbling in like witchcraft or Satanism and all that, by calling on certain things, could create a portal and opening. That's why, a lot of people that, look down on Ouija boards, that dabble with them and don't know what they're doing, they're in essence are opening a portal. And if they don't close it properly, that board now becomes a portal for things to come in and out of. So, or even mirrors, people that scrying in the mirrors and ain't doing it right and don't close that session down right, and they leave the mirrors open, anything can come through from what I've experienced.
That's interesting. I wasn't aware of that.
Now, just in all fairness, demonic presence is actually pretty rare.
Yes.
I just wanted to put this out there because I've been doing this for 30 years. So,
yeah.
And
it is very rare.
Yeah. And we know that fear sells. So,
yeah.
And it's everywhere. Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify that with those listening that yes, you could run into a demonic entity or an evil spirit or something, but it is very rare.
Yeah. And to be honest with you guys, to go one step further with that, if you're doing an investigation and you got something keep telling you it's a demon, guess what? It's not. A demon will not tell you it is a demon, and it will not give you its own name, because therefore that gives you power over that being. So therefore, what the demon's going to do, if they're coming at you, they're going to come at you something sweet and innocent to kind of for you to let your guard down. It's not going to be, oh, I'm a demon, I'm so and so. They're not going to be like that. So all these shows that you see that on, take it with a grain of salt. It's entertainment.
Yes.
That's all it is.
Now, Smokey has a question down here. Well, it's not really a question. Well, I guess it is a question. What if portal's already been there? You didn't know it was there. What if
Yeah.
a portal's already? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, there's natural portals all over this planet. So the thing is, which way is that portal rotating? From what I've learned, if it's going clockwise, it's a natural portal. You're good. You should be all right. Usually things go haywire when they're turned the other way and going counterclockwise, from my understanding. That's when you run into your issues.
So, explain to us a little more about these portals. Let's just say this particular location is dealing with a ton of activity. Could that be an existence of a portal? And if so, what is the difference between a portal going clockwise and one going counterclockwise?
From what I understand, the natural portals, some spirits can come through where it's okay because it's just your traditional spirits going to and from both sides of the veil. When it's going counterclockwise, pretty much anything at that point in time can come through there. It's an open highway to the other side, basically. Now, what I've experienced in investigations, I've stepped into portals and it literally, you feel the air swirling around you. You can feel the air on which way it's going. I've also used the pendulum and held the pendulum there and asked, can you show me which way the portal goes? And you can see which way your pendulum goes, and that will tell you which way that portal, if it's going the proper way or if it's reversed.
Okay. So to me, that makes sense. Go ahead, Jim.
No, I was just going to add a few things. So there must be, so you're talking about a kind of portal where non-physical entities can pass through this kind of portal. But then in addition to that, it seems as though there's other types of portals or what the MJ-12 or government agencies sometimes refer to colloquially as stargates, in which, and these can be artificial and naturally occurring, that exist on locations on the planet. I think they might be more fewer and far between than the kind of portals you're describing, because these kinds of portals are highly fought over, and apparently there's clusters of these, say, like in the Middle East, and some people speculate that that's why we have such a presence, in the Middle East. It's because of these natural stargates. So it seems like there might be different categories of portals, right? Do you
I
know
think there is.
Yeah. And some that you could actually pass through physically, with your body. You could wind up.
I have yet to come across something like that. I would love to be honest with you. Some believe that's how Bigfoot gets around. Being an interdimensional creature, he zips in and out of portals. It all depends on if you belong to the woo camp or the science camp of the flesh and blood.
Yeah, and I thoroughly believe that cryptids are interdimensional, just for the simple fact is there's so many sightings, but there is none, which to me makes perfect sense. That we stumble across this Bigfoot, for example, and the only thing we're left with is, hey, did I just see that? Which would, to me, mean that it just went into its own little portal to get out of area. So yes, no, I completely agree with that.
Yep. Now there's another thing that I look at is, have either one of you ever read the book Celestine Prophecies?
I have not.
No.
What was the name of it?
Celestine Prophecies. Basically it's a book about how do I want to put this? Like intuition and basically how you're guided. And it takes place down in Peru where they found some ancient scrolls, and the teachings on the scrolls teaches you how to raise your vibration and to live on basically on a higher plane. And there's one spot in the movie, the book talks about it too, but I like the way the movie does it. This guy who's studying these things with this group of scientists and all that, he's running through the jungle, running from basically the army from Peru. So they're trying to keep a hush, hush, hush. The army and the church are in cahoots together with this. And this guy runs, he gets running and he ends up on the edge of a cliff. Now he finally gives in to the teachings and lets go and says, hey, you know, I need help. Otherwise, I'm going to basically be killed. Because he's got the army coming with him. And next thing you know, as he lets go and gives into these teachings, he pretty much vanishes from the eyes of the troops that were following him. And they show him, they come up on him, they're looking around, they can't see him, and they take off the other way. And then when he kind of just lets go and goes, he comes back to this dimension. So now with that being said, now is Bigfoot raising their vibrations to disappear until it's safe and then coming back through, or are they actually jumping into a portal and going to another location? Is my thought.
Yeah, that's always been the question that I've had too, because I know that I've seen, I don't know, I think this comes from the Scold Project, and how entities on the other side can like to this cup right here, they can modulate the energy of this cup to where it becomes almost phased out of reality, to where you could pass your hand through it, and they could keep modulating that energy to where it becomes invisible. And that might be what's happening in the case of Bigfoot or other cryptids, you know, that suddenly just vanish. They're not actually going to another dimension. They're just sort of phased slightly out of this visible light frequency that we're seeing.
Yep.
And they're still in the physical dimension, but they're not within the visible light spectrum anymore. Or they're going somewhere with their physical bodies, which is hard to fathom. You know, I've always thought, you know, and a lot of people do kind of have this conception of reality as, you know, there's the physical dimension, you know, this physical, dense, solid plane. And then there's these sort of non-physical dimensions, you know, that exist outside of here. If Bigfoot is traveling, you know, to another dimension, it must be another physical dimension. I don't think you can, it doesn't make sense to me, you know, going back to what we were talking about with energy and the differences with frequencies and how, you know, they pass through one another. It doesn't make sense to me how you could travel to any kind of non-physical plane with the physical body and exist.
Right.
But there may be other physical dimensions. We actually brought this up 2 podcasts ago with a guest. Yeah. There could be other physical planes. Well, there definitely are probably other parallel Earths and parallel universes, you know, where there's, you know, carbon copies of us and this Earth and whatnot. But yeah, it's something that we still don't know yet. And I don't know how to find that out unless you know, there's those people that talk, you know, to Bigfoot, you know, like P1E Lapseritis, you know, that might have, I don't know, information on this as to where they're going.
Yeah. Now, Anthony just had a little comment there about trees being portals. Well, kind of, I could see that, because in some of the native teachings, everything has a soul, everything has a connection. And I had a friend of mine that was in a Wellbriety program called the Red Road of Wellbriety, Red Road Wellbriety. And it's a native-based sobriety system. And one of his talks he gave, he was talking about how he can go to a tree here in Wisconsin and pour his heart out into this tree. And then when he's out on the West Coast or East Coast, if he's having a bad day, he can go to some other tree, and that same tree is going to know his issues and accept him and be there for him. So, because they're all connected intertwinedly. So all living creatures are connected. So the theory about the tree being a portal, it possibly could be.
That's interesting that you say that. You know how in a lot of TV programs and movies, a great deal of them, there's aspects of them that reflect real reality, and a lot of people speculate, what's going on, predictive programming, or they're showing us what's real, and piecemeal. There's a new, I can't remember the name of this series, from the creators of Lost. There's a brand new series out. It's 2 seasons into it, from the creators of Lost. And one of the features of that is that there's these trees that are basically like portals, that you go into them, and it's random, and you'll just teleport, to some other location, in this area. And that just reminded me of that. Yeah, that's interesting that you say that. I wonder if that's one of those seeded things in TV shows. That's predictive programming.
Yeah, and it makes sense. That kind of thing has been talked about for a long time, where like you said, Bobbie, we are all part of this infinite reality here.
Yep.
And trees, plants, anything with a root system, basically. And it carries from one to another, to another, to another. So yes, it's very fascinating. And I believe that was in Lord of the Rings too. I believe it was.
That also is an Avatar.
Yes.
Everything's living and connecting in that.
Yes.
That TV show, I believe, is called From, just by the way, in case anybody's
From
in that. It's called From.
I'm gonna have to look that up. TV show.
Yeah, it's with it's the same black guy from Lost, if anyone remembers that guy. Harold Perrineau is in it.
Okay.
So Anthony says that he has some footage of these portals opening and closing. That would be definitely interested in seeing.
All right. Hey, Anthony, shoot me some of that. I want to see, brother.
Yes.
You know, get hold of me on Facebook.
Yes, that would definitely be awesome to see.
Okay.
Why don't we shift gears and get into? I just was researching a guy. Do you know this guy, Rez, named Clifford Mahudi?
I don't think so.
Oh, look him up after this podcast. So this guy is a Zuni elder, which is a Pueblo tribe, southwestern American tribes. Clifford Mahudi. And so he does the rounds. He goes to UFO conferences and stuff like that. He's like one of the Native Americans. It's really kind of exploring that, trying to kind of preserve the knowledge, of that Native Americans peoples have of their ET connections, which sadly is being lost, as you probably know. Like that's the thing about all of this, is that there's just very little we have now after 500 years of suppression in Christianity.
Yep.
There's very little we have that hasn't been tainted, and a lot of history that's been written by white people, is not accurate, is not compatible, with
right
oral traditions and things.
Yeah, we passed everything down orally, and then when they started taking our culture from us and weren't allowed to practice our culture, that's where a lot of the stuff got lost. I know, like the Mohican language is pretty much lost. My tribe's done studies to try to revive it, but there's still issues with that.
Wow, yeah,
And why do you think, Bobbie, that people just want to forget about all this? To me, I don't understand it. I think that these things are very important historically, especially. And it's almost like everything in history now, they just want to be done with it. They don't care about history.
Because they don't want people to know the black stains that are on this country and on the founding fathers, to be honest with you.
Well,
that's the only reason I could think of.
We truly are the worst country when it comes to genocide and things like that. Everyone likes to say Germany because of the Holocaust, but we have, it's worse, way worse. So yes, I totally agree that is a big problem, but history needs to be out there so that we don't forget and don't repeat.
Exactly. That's the big thing. If we don't know our history, you're bound to repeat it.
Yes.
The biggest thing that kind of, it's sad, but it makes me laugh is I do remember them saying in school that, the Pilgrims and everyone came over here and they assimilated with the natives. No, they had that wrong. They came over here and made us assimilate to their culture. And that's how we lost ours.
Yes.
Without getting too brutally honest and saying a few other things, we'll leave it at that.
Well, yeah, and it's so unfortunate too, because nothing would have changed until the reference of God. Columbus or whoever else, it's their whole agenda was religion. So hey, you need to bow down to our gods and this and that, when actually the Native American people had their own thing and it was working just fine.
We had the Great Spirit.
Years could you just imagine being a people for thousands of years, and you just have this long, rich history stemming back, to the origin of time practically, or the origin of humans practically. And then, new people's coming say, oh, no, that's not how it is, and this is God. And that's just, it doesn't get more egregious than that.
The one thing I've learned over the years out of all the different studies I've done and all the different walks of life that I've been friends with and got to know their cultures, there's one God, whether you have a different name for him. God has several different names. Even if you don't like to refer to him as a powerful being as of God, the universe is no different. You ask and you shall receive. Quantum physics has proved that with like the stuff The Secret teaches. So it doesn't matter what the name you give it, it's still a creating force. And that's who God is.
Absolutely.
And now I'm gonna bring this up because you are Wisconsin, and you might have heard this. Jim and I was just talking about this. There is a Stonehenge underwater in Grand Traverse Bay. It's 40 feet below the water surface, and it's dating back from 9,000 years or before. And have you heard about this? I mean,
I've heard about it. I haven't researched it yet, but if I'm not mistaken, in that same area would be the Lake Michigan Triangle, which is stuff goes missing in, just like the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes. So. And that the Edmund Fitzgerald fits right into that whole thing. But yes, I mean, Jim was saying about all these great monument type of things that are no longer around, that Native peoples created. Someone had said there is, and I'm not, don't quote me fully because I never researched it, but someone said there is a pyramid in the United States here somewhere, and not like the Black Pyramid of Alaska or anything like that. This is supposed to be like in the desert someplace. And it's just like, well, where is this at? Where are all these where it's almost like all the paintings too. What are they called? Where they paint on the rocks?
The glyphs.
Yes. Where are all these? And we know that they were around. Is this another case? Do you believe that history is being wiped out, like how they're doing in Egypt with the Great Pyramids?
Very well could be. When it comes to pyramids, now I heard something. I want to say a few weeks ago that got me thinking. Maybe about a month ago, someone was talking about how some of these big hills that we have in this country, if we dug into them, you actually might find pyramids because they believe that there were pyramids on this continent. Just
Yes.
like how you find buried ones in southern America, South America.
Yes. Yes,
So
absolutely.
until we
And
start digging around, we won't know.
it's funny because some of these things, some of these to me it's mind blowing because for I don't know how many thousands of years you figured Native Americans were all over here, trade routes, things like that. But where is all the where's all the stuff that from a
So
great nation like that? But I understand that Native Americans didn't need or rely on things that we need. So that
Yep.
could be another thing. I mean, they took their houses with them. So that could
We only took and used exactly what we needed.
correct.
We didn't waste.
yeah,
And that's the big thing right there. When you have lots of waste, you have stuff laying around. Oh, we just blipped.
shoot.
Yeah, we all still here. I see.
Yeah, I'm here. Holy cow. I don't think someone likes the conversation we're on.
Well, they're just going to have to deal with it because we
Right?
talk about the truth on this program. So
Yes.
whether it's bad or good, that is that's how we do this show.
I want to bring up
Yeah.
here. Have you ever looked into Graham Hancock's work, Rez?
No, I haven't.
So he's just delved into in his more recent book called America Before, the history of America and just how much is lost, and not just America, also South America. And he talks about there being in the Amazon potentially cities that we haven't even discovered yet. But one of the interesting things that he mentions, and this just really kind of blows this open and really kind of puts you in awe of the extent of Native American history on this continent. It has just been invalidated. The age-old sort of scientific theory of America being populated only 13,000 years ago has just basically fallen apart due to weight of scientific evidence. And we now know that humans have been present in America and in the Americas for in upwards of 130,000 years. Which is just orders of magnitude longer than we ever thought.
Yeah, and we didn't cross over no land bridge to get here. Sorry about you guys for that theory.
Right. Yeah, that there's a lot of other new findings which suggest that there was there's genes in Native American peoples that match up with Australian Aborigines and things like that, suggesting that that they may have come over that land bridge, some of them, but that's not primarily how they got here. And being that they've been here 130,000 plus years ago, I mean, who knows, all the routes of travel, or if, there's even a more direct, I mean, who knows? I mean, if the whole thing about, humans only coming out of Africa is even true, and maybe, there's more other origins of humans.
I think there's more to that, the whole creation story than what we're led to believe at this point in time. I think there is other spots on this planet where life was formed other than just Africa.
Absolutely. I believe that as well.
You just got to look at what's out there and what science is going through. You got to keep an open mind, because if you don't keep that open mind, it gets stagnant, and then you don't get the true facts when we start progressing and advancing.
Right. And it's like anything, anything like that is always going to have the the truth and the distruth. You know what I mean? Nobody wants you to know for certain of anything. It's like the Bible. I'm sure that you've probably dabbled into the Book of Enoch and things like that that were originally in the Bible and taken out because they don't want you to know about giants and angels fornicating with humans, and they don't want you to know that stuff. And there's a lot of books like that. One is depicted with Adam and Judith. Or is it who was it?
Yeah, I think it was Lilith.
Lilith.
I think it was Lilith. Lilith was first.
So they took that out because she went against man and was like, "Hey, you ain't doing this to me." And they're like, "Oh, wait, women have to be submissive, so let's get rid of that part of the Bible."
Right.
So it's so weird, and it works that way throughout history with pretty much everything, and it's really unfortunate.
Yep. Even though I'm a son of a minister, I have two ministers, and I'm a firm believer in God and everything, and I've read majority of the Bible, I look at it like this. The Bible is a book of God written by man for man.
Yes.
It's not necessarily God's word because man can interpret it and edit it the way they want it to and how they seem proper.
Yes.
So it's a good book. It's great stories, but keep an open mind when you read it. Because we have so many different books that weren't put into it. And my belief is, who gave them the right to delete stuff that our creator wants us to know?
Right. And it comes back to power and control.
Yeah.
So how better to control people than the Bible? That's
control their religion, control the mind.
Exactly. And it's unfortunate because, like we were saying before the show, the American people were killing the Native Americans by the millions, man.
Yep.
And they would go to church every Sunday and say their forgiveness, and they go right back at it Monday morning. It's just, to me, it's unreal that people have this thought. Thou shalt not kill should mean thou shalt not kill.
Right.
There should be no exception.
You know who else will bleed firmly in them laws? Just like them younger generations, the mafia. If you look at it, stern Catholics, kill all week long, go to church on Sunday, boom, I'm forgiven, I'm good. See you later. Talk to you next week.
Yeah. What is
drop some money in the collection plate?
I don't understand that mentality at all. The book gives you 10 commandments. Moses broke a tablet, so there would have been 15 commandments.
Yeah.
But even the basic commandments should be like, hey, you know what? Because you don't follow my God, well, I got to kill you. That's just it's just ludicrous.
And if people really looked at the message from all the different quote unquote gods over the years and in all the different religions, they all stem from one single story. I watched a show called Zeitgeist years ago, and it talked about the Bible and that, and how the Jesus's birth and the resurrection, all that happened years long before he was born. The exact same story and the exact same dates, exact same solstices with other cultures and religions.
Pagan religions.
Yeah, a bunch of them.
Mm.
Yes, and
Egypt had one, if I remember correctly. Chinese, they had their own version of it. And then if you look at it, every culture has their own flood story too.
I was actually going to bring this up. Yeah. According to Mahudi, the guy that I was talking about earlier, he believes from his research that all Native American cultures reference somewhere in their lore, history, tradition, this flood.
Yep.
So that it can be found almost in all of them, which is
Yep.
really surprising. And yeah, so that's a really interesting fact.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it was one of the Southwest tribes. They talk about the ant people. They came up out of the ground and saved their tribe by taking them underground during the flood times. You know.
Yeah, I just recently saw something about that. Yeah, I'd never heard of that before. Yeah, was that a Southwestern American
Yep.
tribe?
Southwest American tribe. I think it was either the Hopi or the Navajo. I'm not sure though. Somewhere I heard the story years ago, and basically that's how they survived their flood. They're talking. Others, have the whole ark story. So
Right.
there's always different correlations, just like there's different correlations to end times. Where a lot of people, they say end times, where a lot of the native cultures consider a cleansing cycle. It's not like the end of the world, boom, you're dead. No, the world as you know it ends and a new world begins.
Yeah. Mahudi mentions, again, this is a Zuni tribal elder, that according to his information and oral records, that we're currently living in the fourth world, is what they call it. Not necessarily the fourth planet Earth, but the fourth maybe reinstantiation of civilization after several catastrophes,
the fourth cycle.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There's a lot of them believe that we're on the verge of the fifth.
And then there's some cultures, like, and this kind of correlates to the yugas in like the Vedic traditions over in India, where I think they have even more than that, that we're in like the sixth or seventh yuga, or the fifth or sixth or something like that yuga.
Yeah.
Even though it's a different number, it's still kind of the same thing, that there's been these cycles of civilization, becoming advanced, and then collapse, and then it's starting all over again.
Right. There's all kinds of stories throughout time about that. Atlantis is one of them.
Right.
Story of Atlantis. Edgar Cayce talked really a lot about that.
Right.
And
it's just always interesting to think, we always think of Atlantis as being kind of singular, and never, we haven't realized, that might be just the last civilization, that we have memory of, and that there's other ones going even farther and farther back in the time, other advanced civilizations. I mean, that's just a really astonishing thing that just shatters our conception of human history. I mean, that's just a completely different narrative. I mean, we're a species with amnesia severely.
Well,
there's major missing epochs, in our history.
Well, it's kind of, if you look back, you can draw the similarity to how us natives are. We lost our culture because our society was destroyed. Now, societies in the past, why don't we know about them? They were destroyed. The ones that carried the knowledge, they might have said something and passed it through oral history, but over time, if you don't share it and document it, you're going to lose it. Mm-hmm. So that's a good reason why we don't know about any of the past civilizations.
Right. And also the fact, and geologists will tell you this, it's just the people always say, where's the remnants, of these civilizations, that we should be finding their CDs and their computers and things, and
dig
cars,
deep,
stuff like that. Dig deep, or also, I don't think they're aware of just the absolute pulverization that the Earth's material goes through, after a long enough length of time, where the crust, go into all of the crust, eventually, move into subduction zones and get melted down, and recycled. And everything, just gets eventually melted and recycled.
Yep. It
or
goes back into the earth.
Eroded, into dust. And no, it might be, that nothing can be left, going back farther, if there's civilizations going back farther enough, it might not be possible, to have any surviving remnants of that due to just the geological processes of the earth that we know about.
That's a very good point. If you look in nowadays times, if you have an abandoned building that's been empty for 20 years, chances are it's fallen in on itself just because no one's maintained it. That's only after 20 years. What happens after 120 or 220 years? That house ain't going to be there no more. You might, if you dig, you might find some of the foundation that was there if it was a stone foundation, but that's few and far between.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. When we're talking about tens of thousands to 100, hundreds of thousands of years, there's not going to be anything left over. You don't know what you're talking about if you think that we're going to find remnants of a civilization that far back.
Yep. That far back, the only thing you're going to find that might last is stone, big stones. If anything.
Stones, in which we do actually find, under the water in some places, that might be pre-flood era, structures.
Yeah.
And Jim, you brought that up, and that's the D Hoot over here said perhaps look in the ocean, and we find a lot of ancient Egypt things in the water, still stand these great big giant, and I'm like, wow, that's so interesting. So in Atlantis, I mean, people.
What about, was it the Biffany Road or whatever it is that we found?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A road to nowhere in the ocean. Why?
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say about that road. I'm glad you remembered the name.
Bimini, I think.
Bimini. There you go. Yep.
Yes. Yeah. Go straight in. You can see it.
Yeah.
It's like, what is it for? I mean, could our oceans have rised that much over all the time? I mean, apparently that's possible, or at least it wouldn't be underwater.
They have, due to the melting of the ice caps. Yeah.
Melting of the ice caps, how different land masses have moved or changed. That will do it. So
could the land sink in some places?
Some
places sink, water rises.
In some places there's subsidence that happens. Some people think that some theories of the sinking of Atlantis, relate to rapid subsidence, which can happen due to certain geological processes. Because with the account of Atlantis, or some accounts of it, it over a period of a day or something, it sunk into the ocean, which is possible, I think, geologically, but not, it's not something that is real common. But
but you talk about back then, time frames are different. Was a day 24 hours like we believe?
Right. Yeah.
Or could a day been a month or a week long?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right, because whatever we was using at one point switched to the Gregorian calendar. So I mean, that's interesting. Time, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you got to kind of look at that and take that into consideration when you look at these different theories and thoughts and concepts that people have about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, we know that civilizations will implode on each other, and this we know from like the Roman Empire. Once you get rid of all your resources and you're like, whoa, we gotta still have these games, so let's just use ordinary people. Once you destruct yourself, that is it. It's not like Mount Vesuvius, where we know that the Mount Vesuvius erupted and that was it, wiped out an entire civilization. The same with Pompeii. I mean,
I was just thinking of that.
Yeah, so these great big events that happen, it's incredible. And I've just seen this thing that we have in the United States, someplace there is a spot as big as the Grand Canyon that is a asteroid that hit millions and millions of years ago. You can go to this place, and it's as big as the Grand Canyon. And I'm like, wow. I mean, really, if that happened, what? It's just like,
what is it? My brother used to talk about. There's a spot in Arizona, the Mongolian Rim. It's where everything is down down into the bowl, and it's one big bowl shaped around this entire area. He's like, I used to go up to sit up there on top of the rim and watch everything and hang out. What could have created that other than an asteroid hit? You know, what naturally caused a big bowl in the middle of a planet, out of nowhere?
Right. And the sheer impact of it. I mean, we all heard the Big Bang Theory and, the destruction of all the dinosaurs and stuff. And in fact, they know where that crater is.
Yep.
But imagine this one had to be every bit as big, if not bigger.
Yeah.
So, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
So, oh man. So, Bobbie, let's get into some of the cryptids and things of that nature in the Native American culture.
Okay.
Like Skinwalker Ranch and things like that.
Right.
Those different type of
well, a skinwalker would not be a cryptid. Okay. What a skinwalker is basically is a medicine man who has done something evil to obtain these powers. Basically he turns bad. I believe one of the things they have to do is kill a loved one. And then they don a pelt and they become the creature of the pelt that they're wearing. So that wouldn't be considered a cryptid. That's more just kind of like an evil being, I guess you would say. Now you have Wendigos, which a lot believe are a cryptid, which also I personally believe is someone that's inflicted by evil, and it's brought forth by greed. Whether it's the greed of, some say, eating the flesh, others just greed overall. It takes you over to a point where nothing fills you up. Nothing will satisfy you. And that's where you get the gray, emaciated Wendigo form, where even they eat their own lips off because they're so darn hungry. Nothing's working. They're going to eat their fingertips and so on and so forth.
So is that a curse?
Or
what, like
that's a real fine line there. I personally wouldn't take it as a curse. To me, it almost feels like it'd be more like a possession. That they're possessed and that greed took them over and caused them to do the evil things that they're doing.
Okay. All right.
Does Wendigo, does that come from the name Wendigo? Does that come from some Native American tradition, or doesn't that stem from Native American beliefs?
The Wendigo does come from our beliefs. It's the northeastern tribes that have the Wendigos. The Algonquin tribes speak of it.
Okay.
Far as where the actual name itself came from, I'm not sure. Now, another cryptid that everyone knows about is Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Sitonga, Nantenook, whatever you want to classify them as. That's a big one that's in our culture. That's believed that he walked with us at one point in time, and that our braves and their young ones used to actually hang out together and play together. When we'd have ceremonies, we'd sit around and drum. They would come into our campfires. I've heard reports out of up in the Manam reservation of Bigfoot coming into people that are having ceremony in sweat lodges. They're coming into the outer circle just enough so they can see and hear what's going on, but not enough to disturb them during the ceremony. I know I have a friend of mine over on the Omaha reservation, Mr. Mr. Webster there, Barry Webster, he goes out and he has interactions with their Bigfoot, Sitanga. They call him Stevie. And they actually have regular interactions with Stevie. So with all this being said, they're in our culture. And I have a theory that came from kind of what he was teaching, along with some of the other stuff I've heard, that Bigfoot can understand the native tongue to its location of where they're at. For example, like out there on the Omaha reservation, if they speak Omaha to the Bigfoot's going to understand that. If somebody's up on the Menominee Res or the Menominee Original Tribal Land area and it was speaking Menominee to the woods asking for him to come forward, he'd be understand them. Where if I was out east on our original homelands and I was out squatching and I was speaking our native tongue, chances are we'd get responses.
So the local Bigfoots in that area have knowledge of the languages of that were spoken in that area.
Yep, because we lived one-on-one with them for the longest time. Some say we even bartered and traded with them.
So that's really interesting. I just learned this actually. I'm preparing for this podcast and listening to you say that. I did not know that. So, and then what happened? Do you think? Why relations break? Now there's obviously been this just massive shift, and they're incredibly leery of us. All
right. How do I put this politely? They're incredibly leery of the white man. The natives on the reservations, they're a little more apt to interact with them, from what I've been told. Hence example how Barry and his guys, get interaction from Sitanga out there by them, and how up in Alaska they get interactions from some of their tribes. But from what I heard, ancient stories was one of the times that they came down to ceremony and we were all hanging out playing together, that one of our braves got hurt severely because they're way stronger than us. And it kind of was an eye-opener. Say, hey, we can't have this. This will cause problems. So we're going to go off in the woods, do our thing. You do your thing. And we keep our distance. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's just one of the stories I've heard about this.
Could it be, Bobbie, that, and this kind of makes sense to me, because the Native Americans were so spiritual, everything to them was spiritual, and that's kind of how I believe too. I mean, like we was talking, we are one with pretty much every. Yeah. Could it be because of this? And people nowadays, they just don't care about things like that. They would rather shoot Bigfoot than, it just, to me, it just seems like, they would rather shoot Bigfoot, hang his head on the wall, and that's what they believe, just with their deer and all that. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it would be a prize trophy, and they'd be out there hunting them if they could. I'm a firm believer that if the tribes came forward and said, hey, we got proof of Bigfoot, we know where he's at, all of a sudden everyone's going to be wanting to be hunting him, or hunting them, I should say, because, there's hims and hers. So that's why I think a lot of the natives, how they're tight-lipped about Bigfoot and the different legends and lores and where they truly are.
And it makes sense, because when I was young, growing up, I used to do a lot of hunting, and everything that I killed, especially deer, I always thanked them. That was, my uncle told me, hey, look, this animal gave its life so that you can eat, you and your family. So that stuck with me. And I no longer hunt, because I don't know. I'm older now, and I love all animals. So,
right.
But a lot of people don't think that way. A lot of people are just like, hey, we're going to shoot it and we're going to eat part of it, or not even eat it at all. We're just going to let it lay. And that could be a definite reason too.
Very well could be. I know I'm not a big hunter. I have hunted in the past, I know every time that I've taken a deer, I've also given tobacco to say thank you for honoring them and say, here, I greatly appreciate what you're doing about feeding my family, and, giving that piece of tobacco is kind of like saying, here, I'm sorry I had to take your life, but we appreciate you. We honor you.
So you obviously you believe in the 4 sacred herbs. Now tell me, what does the tobacco, I know that tobacco is a huge ceremonial thing.
Yep.
Like I wouldn't want to, or maybe, I don't know. Is there a difference between the herbs that you give and the sentiment for, hey, we honor you and here's some tobacco, is there a difference, or are like sages and cedar and sweetgrass and the tobacco all kind of the same, or do they mean different?
They do mean some of the different things. They have different uses, but they're all medicines that were given to us by the Creator. And some of the biggest medicine out there that was given to us for a prayer was tobacco. Where not only how like my people, we use tobacco a lot. A lot of us woodland Indians. Where I know the Southwest tribes, one of the things they use is corn pollen instead of tobacco. They still use tobacco, but they also use corn pollen as a sacred thing to offer, as an offering. And then you have, your cedar and your sage. We use that for cleansing, to cleanse the negativity away. Sweetgrass, we use that to bring in the positive, not only to bring in positive, but bring in the ancestors, your loved ones, all the good things close to you. So each one has its own purpose, and it really depends on what outcome you're looking to achieve and what you're doing and what you use.
Right, because if you go in and you sage a house with white sage, the whole connection to that is for that sage to grab the more negative things and carry it out the window or out your door.
Carry it out. Or if you're praying with it, it's supposed to take your prayers up to the Creator.
Okay, so because it's a heavier smoke, it grabs a hold of these things and it
takes them out.
So that's where your sweetgrass comes in. What is the sage? Is the sage the same as sweetgrass?
Nope, sage is a wholly different plant. Sweetgrass is long sweetgrass. Actually, I have a piece of sweetgrass right here.
Yes.
That's usually come in big, long sections here to get my camera going. Yes. And they're all braided. And like I said, we use that to bring in the positivity, to bring in the loved ones. And then a lot of sage bundles. I don't have a full bundle with me.
I have a big piece of sweetgrass.
Yep. See. Yep. I didn't think about it. Let me see. Do I have a sage bundle out here somewhere?
I have sage right here.
All right. Yep.
The only thing I'm missing.
Hold on. What kind of sage you got there? Let me see.
This is cedar.
Oh, yep. You got cedar.
And then I have white sage.
There you go. You're good to go, buddy.
Blue sage.
Okay. See, I've never worked with blue sage before. I don't know much about it. Just like I know I've seen sage with dragon's blood on it and this and that. That's more along the lines of Wicca, I believe.
Yes.
That's not the native side of it, so I really don't know much about it. Now I know, like I personally I'll use sage for smudging, but if it's something a little bit heavier, a little bit darker, I like to throw some cedar in with it. That's my personal beliefs and ways.
The only thing that I don't have anymore of, and I'm getting ready to put an order in, is tobacco.
Yep.
I get it's a Virginia Canadian flue-fired leaf.
Okay, you get pure leaf.
Yes,
nice.
I like the leaf.
That's how I prefer to get it, but it's hard to find it nowadays. I had a friend of mine that used to get it from a couple of different powwows that I used to go to every year, and he'd bring me some back, and I'm out of that. So when it comes to ceremony, the closest thing I can get to something pure would be Indian Spirit or something like that. One of the all natural tobacco brands that they have out there on the market right now. They also sell it in loose tobacco.
Okay.
I can't. I'm trying to think. What's the name of that brand? I think it's something like Indian Spirit or something like that. It's all natural, all organic, no chemicals, stuff like that. So I use that for ceremony. Now, when I keep my tobacco bag, it's just regular old tobacco. So when I do go out and if I'm giving tobacco to a location or to honor an ancestor, I just use regular tobacco. If I don't have anything with me, I'll break open my cigarette and offer that.
So here is the tobacco that I get.
Okay.
I sent you the link for this.
Awesome. Thank you.
They have this one here. I like the Canadian Virginia flute better, but this one it's in their ceremonial type. So I definitely wanted to send you that link since you said it's hard to find, and it truly is hard to find a decent ceremonial tobacco, but they definitely have it. So
awesome. I'll have to get some ordered up.
Yes. And that's why I was asking you how you used the tobacco, because I've only used it a couple of times, but I know, like you had said, when you harvested a deer, you would use that to give thanks to the animal. So yes, very interesting.
Yeah. And on every investigation I go on, whether it is out into the woods for squatching or to a haunted location, I actually drop tobacco. Now, when I go into a haunted location, by me giving that tobacco, it's me telling them I'm coming in peace. I'm here to honor them. I'm here to interact with them and speak with them and learn their story. And it's also for them not to try to attach and come home with me. And by me giving that offering with them specific guidelines, they follow it. You know?
Courtney asked, she said, so do you wrap it or just place it out there?
A lot of times what we'll do is here, I got some kind of tobacco here in my, because I roll my own. I put it in my left hand like so. And then what I'll do is I'll say my prayer and I'll just drop it onto the land like so. And let it go to natural to the earth. You know?
Now, was that something that the Native Americans also did? That exact thing too?
You put it in your left hand because your left hand is closest to your heart. Whether you're giving thanks or prayers, it's coming from your heart. So that's why you use your left hand. And by raising it up before you drop it, that's showing the Creator that you're giving something to the Creator, and then you drop it and let it go.
Interesting. So, very nice. Very nice. Now, let me ask this question, because I think when I initially was talking to you about coming on the show, I said about we all watched the movie Poltergeist, especially Poltergeist 2 with the Indian guy. And I can't remember his name, but he's an awesome guy. But kind of reminds me of Graham Greene, but Graham's a lot funnier.
Yeah.
But
man. Graham's had some really awesome roles over the years.
Yes, and
I think my favorite was Thunderheart.
Yes, that was good, and also I think it was Maverick with oh man, I can't think, but it was him and what the heck's the other guy's name? Well, it was a Western anyway.
Yeah,
very good, very good.
Maverick, that would have been, I think, Mel Gibson, wasn't it?
I'm not sure if it was. I think so, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because the gambler was Kenny Rogers. I remember that one.
Yeah, because he told Graham. He said he was like, "I want you to go out there and pretend, that you're," because they wanted to hunt Indians or something.
Right. And
he was telling him to go out there and just, pretend to be dead or something. He was like, "Yeah, white man, I'll pretend."
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really good. He's a really good guy. Here he does a lot of things in the community as well. But back to the Poltergeist 2. He uses sacred herbs for this poltergeist.
Yep.
Explain a little bit about what he was actually doing. I mean, was he going
Um,
into the spirit world and he was trying to gather help to get rid of this evil force?
well, all our ancestors always walk with us, no matter where we go. We always have a team of ancestors that walk with us and help us to our daily tasks. Now, if I remember correctly, 'cause it's been a while since I've had a chance to watch the movie, he was going in as pretty much like a medicine man, and he was bringing his ancestors, his warrior team, whatever you want to consider him as, with him to fight off this negativity, to stop what was going on. And the different herbs and medicines pertain to the severity of the location and what they were going through.
Now, this was a common practice before the movie,
Yep.
where they would have these fires and there'd be more than just one, and they would be dancing around the fire.
hmm
What was that for? Was that kind of the same thing? Were they bringing protection from
Um,
ancestors?
Depends on what they're looking for. They did it for a lot. You'd have your fire for your different ceremonies. Some of them, like our powwows. Every powwow that you have has a different meaning to it, different reason. My tribe, we have a veterans powwow every August, second weekend in August on the reservation, where the Menominee, the first weekend of August, they have what's called a competition powwow. That's where they go and they compete with their dancing, or the drums might compete against each other to find out who's top dog and who's got the best regalia, who dances the best and keep with the time and everything else, or who can go the longest if they have an Iron Man or Iron Woman competition, stuff like that. So for to group them all into one, you can't. But there were several different reasons why we got together and danced. Some of it could be just been celebration. Good happy hunt, good happy harvest. It all had different meanings depending on what they were looking for. And that's how you take that ceremony, depending on what that ceremony was set up for. That would be the guidelines you'd follow.
Okay. And now would this coincide with oh boy, how do I want to ask this question? Let me get back to this one, because it's kind of the same, but it's not. Let me ask this question about like water scrying. I am a huge fan of water scrying. I've been doing it for years. I see some very crazy things in the water, and
Yep.
now with technology, we can capture that in our phones. And I always look at it this way: when I do water scrying and I have my bowl and I'm looking down into the water and I agitate the water, what it seems to me is like if you're standing at the very bottom of a well and you're looking up and something comes across that top of that well, you catch that image.
Yep.
Now, I know that Native American Indians used to use this in creeks. They would go to the spot where it's calm, but the water's rippling from the current. And what did they look for? When did they use this for? If they needed to know if there was a war with somebody or another tribe, or if they were just asking general questions?
And it was a little bit of everything. Where to hunt, where if is there any attackers coming, what we should do about different issues with the tribe. It really it was, again, it depended on the situation and the questions they needed answered. And it's cool that you see you do water scrying. I actually like staring into the fire. I stare into a fire, I get hypnotized, and I start seeing stuff. But all that really is us tapping into our natural intuitions. The same abilities that we use for card reading is the same thing. It's just the medium that you chose to work through.
Yes. And looking into fires, I have seen a friend of mine was like, hey, this is a picture of us next to the fire. And I'm like, there's a skeleton in that fire. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm telling you, there is a skeleton in that fire. And I often wonder what the meaning of that was. I have no idea, but
Yeah, it's something that was shown. It was supposed to be shown to you for a reason, and we might not know the reason right away, but in time, something will jog that memory, and you'll have an aha moment.
yes.
There's things that I've seen over the years, and I go, huh, okay, and 5, 6 years later, that thought pops up back in my head, and all of a sudden, the light bulb goes off, and I go, oh, that's what that meant.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this.
And Jim, that kind of goes with things like into synchronicity as well.
Yep.
Jim has a lot of synchronicities. In fact, I don't have them near as often, but I know Jim has synchronicities.
I actually just had a synchronicity yesterday that was interesting. That kind of came about from researching Native American stuff. If I can remember all the details, it was kind of interesting. So I have a Cherokee friend, or who's part Cherokee, and I was listening to Clifford Mahooty yesterday, and he just got to a part where he was about to say, and he said, "And the Cherokee people," and she calls me right at that second, as he's about to explain something about the Cherokee people, and what he went on to say, and once I played it back, was the Cherokee people have a flag that has 7 stars, seven pointed stars on it, which is in reference to the Pleiades, interestingly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever heard about that.
Yeah.
And they believe that their ancestry connects directly back to the Pleiadian people, and that their culture sort of stems in some way from the teachings that the Pleiadian people passed on to them at some point.
There's something that kind of cracks me up about that. Now you're just saying how you're referring to the Pleiadians, right?
Yeah.
And you earlier asked me about possibly having my co-host come on, Christina. She channels the Pleiadians.
Oh, wow.
Does she really?
Yes. Synchronicity, my friend.
Yes.
Ask and you shall receive. That's just like the book The Secret. What you put in this universe, you will get back. So as excuse me, as you're looking for all these synchronicities, more are coming towards you in your everyday life. So it's bound to happen. And the more you open your eyes up to it, the more you look, the more you're going to notice. Just like those that watch for certain numbers, 1111 and 1212. They start seeing them everywhere once you open your eyes and start looking.
Well, actually, there was more to that synchronicity. So she calls me, and after I get off the phone with her, I'm thinking about that synchronicity, right? I wonder, the Pleiadians, the Cherokees. I'm thinking about that, and I'm at work, and someone comes in, and I need to give them a hand with something related to inputting numbers of an expense into a computer system, and they hand me this receipt, and the address of the receipt is 1111. It's an ice cream place, and it's 1111 is the address, and then it goes even beyond that. So later on that night, I call her back, or she calls me or something, I can't remember exactly, and I tell her about the full synchronicity, and I send her a clip actually of what he says about the Pleiadians and the Cherokee flag and whatnot, because she didn't know that. And as I'm telling her this, she's walking outside, and all of a sudden she says, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe what I just saw. I just walked outside of my house, and I saw this bright light in the sky that as soon as I looked at it, it faded out really weirdly, and now there's nothing. I don't see anything. And had some kind of potential UFO sighting right as I'm, telling her about that synchronicity.
Right.
And the whole, and this was just yesterday. So 1111, plus that, It would be great to have. Does she ever do podcasts where she channels and answers questions, or?
She has. I believe she's done it with her one that's with Glenn Bottis. And also she's done that in her Tuesday night group also.
Mhm.
So it's something that we'd have to talk to her about and possibly could get her to come on and do it.
That's interesting.
I can't promise nothing, but if we reach out to her,
Mhm.
we'll see what she says.
Cool.
Now,
Cool.
Bobbie, you work with cards, correct?
Yep.
So, what kind of specific things are you looking for in these cards? Are they tarot cards?
I work with two decks mainly. One is the Rebel deck, which is pretty much up, blunt, and forward. And then the main deck I use is Soul Card deck, which I'm trying to get them out of the bag here, kind of show you. It's one of them. Now, that's the Soul Card. All right. There's no structure to it like a tarot. It's all intuition. So as I pull a card or I flip it over, the first things that pop in my head from spirit, from my guides, I'm spitting out. And the more I'm looking at this, more messages will come out. You know,
So
and I go down the line.
Would that card be like an oracle card?
No, they're their own classification.
Oh, okay.
You know, most oracle cards will have like a phrase or something or some kind of divination or something on it. There's no writing. There's no book that tells you what each card means. It's strictly all intuition. And that's what I love about them.
Okay. Well, you know, Courtney and Donna are talking about your cards over here.
Yep. They both have seen me in action already with them.
Yeah. If you don't mind, give us a demonstration.
All right. So let's see here. Do a quick one here with this one. Now, which one of you want me to read for? For you, for you, Todd, or for you, Jim?
Jim, you want to know something?
All right. Yeah. All right. I'll do it. Yeah, sure.
All right. All right. I'm going to randomly just grab a card out of here for you so you can see I'm not looking at them. All right. That one right there. As you see in that card, the guy kind of seems like he's in the hole a little bit. He's kind of like the hermit form. I feel, Jim, that you spent some time alone, kind of lost in the darkness as a hermit. You, I have to say that you're looking for a way out, but you're not quite sure. And the deeper that you dig in some of these categories that you're looking into, kind of digs you back down that hole a little bit deeper because you don't know where to turn to get out of that hole. Does any of that make sense?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I am kind of not a complete hermit, but yeah, I mean, I'm living alone right now, and
You live alone. You don't go out a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't go out a lot. I'm more of an introvert, internal sort of person. You know, I've always been independent, you know, like the kind of things that I do for enjoyment, you know, are kind of music and things that I kind of do.
You're a lone wolf. You're not the social butterfly type.
Yeah. Unless we're in a certain context as this or in a certain conversation with people who are open-minded, and then I'm just the opposite, you know, and I never shut up. But in general, yeah, amongst ordinary people, yeah, I'm kind of repressed in some ways. Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Well, I feel you kind of need to break that cycle. You need to learn to live in both worlds. All right. What I'm hearing is that you want to be that social butterfly, but you're awkward enough that you don't let yourself be. Whether it's something from your past that you're afraid of judgment or people looking at you weird, or someone might have did something to you that made you feel almost like an outcast. You were made to feel this way. This wasn't natural to you. So were you picked on as a kid in school or something like that, or kind of?
No, not really. But I've always felt like something almost weird happened when I was really young, and I had this period where I don't even remember it, where I feel like prior to that period, I was much more extroverted and was almost like the class clown in first grade. Nothing happened. There was some, teasing from older cousins and things like that. And it wasn't that I was totally free of that. But it was almost like there was this one period in my life where I almost wondered if I was abducted by aliens or something, or had some kind of something that happened, well, as we know in this field, things can happen, and the memories can be suppressed.
Yeah, there's trauma there, my friend. Suppressed trauma.
Yeah.
There is. Just I get a weird vibration off you as you start talking about this. Your mind doesn't want to relive it, so it blocks it out. And your way of coping with this is staying within yourself, your own little bubble. That was your coping mechanism to deal with it so it wouldn't happen again. And I think that's what's caused you to come out to this life. And then the social butterfly that comes out is only when you're in a safe space where you feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. Then the true you comes out. Mm-hmm. So therefore, most people that know you, they don't know the real you because you keep them at a bay because of this past trauma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that resonates with me. Yeah, I've even had synchronicity just recently where the meaning of it was a cardinal. I kept seeing a cardinal that day, and the word of the day on my dictionary app happened to be cardinal. And I was reading an abduction book, actually, one of John Mack's books called Abduction, and I came across the passage where he talked about the soul bird, and it was someone who was being regressed, and they talked about right after that, and this is kind of what I thought the meaning was. It said, I need to open more compartments. And I wondered, if I had something suppressed, and compartmented, as your brain does with trauma. And at that moment, right after I read Soul Bird, there was a cardinal singing right outside. I know bird songs real well because I was a bird watcher. I still am, kind of partially. And there's a cardinal
solitary, something that you do by yourself.
Yeah. And yeah, so I had a synchronicity that almost seemed to be suggestive of that thing. Yeah.
And what's crazy is Jim just said about this soul bird thing. And right as he said it, I was just getting ready to ask about a thunderbird and what the difference was. So now we're getting birds coming up in here.
Yeah. Your thunderbird, if I remember correctly, that was more of a protection of a bird. It was a protector of the people. I don't know much about the thunderbird. I should study more about it, but I really haven't. But back to you, Jim. Have you ever thought about going underneath hypnotherapy to face this?
So I just did that. Just 2 weeks ago, maybe went and did that.
Okay.
I couldn't be hypnotized. She told me, like, I've regressed 1,000 people, and you're one of 2 or 3 that I couldn't hypnotize. And it just didn't work. And I don't know. I thought, I'm a really sort of rational, logical person, but at the same time, like I was kind of prepared to just be vulnerable and just let go. And I felt comfortable, but nothing. It's just nothing happened, and I don't know why. It was just a complete mystery. And especially because I was led there. There was a lot of synchronicities that led me to this person, that led me to being regressed. Like it was clear synchronicities telling me to go for a regression, yet it did not happen. But I got this anyway. I got this number that came up multiple times throughout that day, 444, And that's the number that to me means, don't worry, everything's going according to the plan, despite whatever outcome you didn't expect.
Well, if you decide to try it again, I have a good friend of mine, Israel Mandrake, phenomenal hypnosis guy. Reach out to him. He is phenomenal. All right. I've seen him both work kind of like the stage show, then I've seen him actually work. He works with everything from high dollar athletes to big corporate people to even lawyers and all that need help figuring things out when it comes to different cases. So I think that everyone is able to be hypnotized. It's just finding that right person that you're in sync with that will allow it to happen. So you can find him right on Facebook. Israel Mandrake. He's phenomenal.
And where is he located, or does he do everything online? Or
I believe he does some stuff online. I think he just moved back out to the East Coast. He was in the Chicagoland area for a while. He was out in Vegas as a headliner for years. So he knows his stuff. And then I was going to finish pulling from my other deck for you. We didn't finish the cards here. I only pulled the one. I was going to pull one of these Rebel deck cards.
Yeah.
Now, I warn you, these are rude, crude. It's like that grumpy old man down at the end of the block that no one listens to, but he always spits out the right shit and knows what he's talking about. That's these cards. So what I'm going to do, you can see me here. Tell me when to stop, and I'll pick your card from where you tell me to stop. All right? Stop sleeping so damn much. Wake up, you're missing some cool shit. So, have you been spending your time in bed a lot lately? Not wanting to get out of bed and kind of giving into that depression and that hole?
No, not in that kind of way. So I have I have an insomnia problem, and I will, because of that, I'll sleep in the day. I slept today after I got home from work. I'll deliberately sleep in the day because I'm not getting sleep at night, and I'm not functioning well. I'm not freaking, my memory's going to shit and stuff. And so I am sleeping a lot. I'm trying to sleep a lot though, because I'm not sleeping at night.
I hear you on that one. I toss and turn all night long. I'm up and down nonstop. So I get that. And then if you give me a day undisturbed with no alarms or anything like that, I can sleep the whole freaking day away.
That's exactly how I am. Yeah. If I don't have to get up for work or anything, like I'll just sleep fine. Not perfectly, but I'll sleep maybe like 80% better than I would if I have to get up in the morning. And even though like I've gotten over like that, I've totally transcended that. I used to have like anxiety about it at night, like, oh no, my alarm's going to go off at 4:45, and that will keep me up. Yep. I've gotten over that. I just totally have reconciled with the fact that I don't care if I sleep. I'm just oh well. If I don't sleep, I've just let go of the anxiousness over it. But yet I just still don't sleep, or I don't sleep well, or I'll sleep just part of the night and I'm up the rest of the night.
When did the insomnia start?
Honestly, it got sort of bad so the Cherokee friend that I was mentioning, I used to kind of date for a little while, and she lived in my house. It was kind of after she left, oddly, although I don't know why it syncs up with that, because it doesn't make sense. I don't feel like I can't cognitively understand why there's a connection with that. But yeah, it was almost like right after I became alone and started sleeping alone that I don't sleep as well.
I almost wonder as if it ties back to the original trauma, that you're not sleeping well because of what happened. And then when you started having a partner to sleep with, it gave you some sense of security, so you were able to sleep well. And then when that security left, you reverted back to not being able to sleep well, and it affecting you now. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I mean that's possible, but it's subconscious it's because I just don't feel insecure. Like for a little bit I did, I felt like off, like just coming back from work and the house being empty. My dog died and everything. Her dog died at the same time almost, and I don't have a dog in the house anymore. And there was this sort of period of kind of feeling weird and insecure, just being completely alone. I feel like though I've gotten over that, but I don't know, unless there's just something in the subconscious that's still there that I can't like.
We hide a lot of things in our subconscious. We really do. And that's something that takes time to work through. I know I had a lot of issues. I lost both my parents by the time I was 15. So for a lot of years, I wasn't sleeping right. I wasn't dealing with things correctly. And it's not that I didn't want to. It was just I was living a life that I had no care in the world anymore. I was basically walking through life waiting for my time to expire.
Yeah, I had both my parents pass away too. My dad just last July. Yeah, I don't know, but interesting. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you right now, send me a Facebook request. You ever need a friend to talk to, man, I'm here for you.
Thank you, man. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
I've lived through some rough shit over my life, and that's what's brought me to the point where I am now. Is the reason why I do go out to these events and set up and do card readings is to help others. Yeah, it's great to get paid for your talents, but overall, I'd rather help someone so they can progress forward, so they can live easier. They don't have to struggle like so many others out there have and do, or like I've had in the past.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
So Todd, you want me to pull one of these rebel cards for you?
You go right on ahead, sir. Let's see how accurate these cards are.
All right. Let me shift them and clear them real quick. Since we got them out. Yeah, I spent a lot of time. I didn't come out of the closet about having abilities until last January or February. I was on a show with someone. And it was after I had gotten certified, and I talked to him in backstage and telling him about my soul cards. And like, really? Let me see. I kind of showed it to him. Oh wow, can you give us a reading after the show? Great. I always need practice. Why not? And then about 2/3 way through the show, they go, "Hey, can you give us our readings now?" And I'm like, well, you just brought me out in public. I guess I have to now. And
what took you so long to open up about your gifts?
Because there's so many damn charlatans out there that it really irks the shit out of me, and I don't want to get classified with them. So until I was comfortable in my own skin with it, I wasn't going to announce it. That's it. Yeah, it was Donna and Sydney. I was on a show with them two girls that they called me out. So thanks, Donna. Thanks, Sydney. So, all right, same thing. I'm going to kind of see. Tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Uh-oh. Fucking apologize. Seriously, just do it. So who have you offended lately that you've been thinking about that you kind of wish you wouldn't have?
I'm not sure.
It's got to be someone.
I'm not sure who I might have offended. It happens.
Or is the wife pissed at you for something?
No. I know that I'm stubborn and bullheaded, so I get a lot of flack for that. But I don't think I don't know.
Stubborn and bullheaded, Dad. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there waiting for that apology.
I'm sure. I mean, I don't know if it'd be my brother. I've been kind of ignoring him a little bit. So I'm not.
Hey, family should be number one, my friend. Even if you don't get along with them, they need to be number one. Because without family, we have nothing.
Exactly. But you know, I'm kind of like anything that happens to me, I kind of like. I don't know. I kind of just like close off. I don't want nobody. I don't want no help from nobody. I just, you know, I'd rather, you know, be like that sick dog that has to be by himself to deal with it himself. So
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of my my thing.
That stubborn old sick dog, huh?
Yes, for sure. And if I didn't, you know, piss anybody off, I apologize out there, because, you know, sometimes we get in the heat of the moment. We can be, you know,
We
kind
get
of.
emotional. We're human.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, we all make mistakes. And as long as you keep it real with yourself and with those around you, you can always go back and apologize.
Yes.
It's never too late.
Yes. Yeah. And I know like a lot of the big thing now is like politics. It's everywhere. It's blasted in our face 24/7.
Oh, yeah.
It's something that's so hard to get away from. And, you know, there's times where I'll be like, look, I ain't said nothing for a long time. Everybody else is putting their opinion out. As soon as I put my opinion out, I'm a liberal or I'm this, I'm that. And I'm like, damn it, man.
Right? You get classified real quick when you open your mouth.
Oh, you do. Yes. It's like, you don't even know me. How do you know if I'm a liberal?
Right? Yeah, that's unfortunate. We're in a society that everyone's so quick to judge.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. You know, as far as I'm concerned, the last perfect person that walked this earth got crucified, and they're the only one that's allowed to judge me.
Right. But this is not just political, though. This is in through our even the paranormal is now so cutthroat.
Oh, yes.
It is bad. And I'm like, you know, we all do the same things. We all have the same meters. They all work exactly the same. How is it that everything you're getting is all
how is it better than what I get?
Seconds, you know, there's no way that, you know, there's so many factors involved, and the people that I meet that have passion in this field is we are the honest ones, and the problem is nobody wants the honesty. They want the hype. Yep. So it's like impossible. I've really drifted away from the paranormal field. I still do private investigations. That's my thing. Yep. But I now, because of how I do things and how others do things, you're in now a 1% class. So it's 1% doing the right things, looking at data, analyzing things, and the rest are just, oh, if this little light goes off, it's a ghost.
Yeah, no.
And that's not how it works.
That's the difference between a ghost hunter and a paranormal investigator.
Exactly.
Ghost hunter does it for the thrills, for the fun of it, and an actual researcher or paranormal investigator looks, why is it happening and what can I do to help?
Yes. I mean, because if I go into a place and the stairs are creaking, it sounds like someone's going up the stairs. I want to know the first thing of why. Why does it sound like that? Is the house contracting and expanding and it's making the wood move? But as soon as I tell other people that, they're like, well, that's just the wrong answer. Well, it's not the wrong answer. That is where you need to be. You
need to go in and look at what they're saying is going on. See if you can debunk it first before you even try labeling it.
Yes.
Debunk it first. And if you can't debunk it, then start looking at the paranormal aspects of the possibilities.
I have brought up numerous people are like, oh, my door just opened super slow. Okay, well, is it humid out? Is the barometric pressure? Check that to make sure the house isn't expanding and contracting, because that will definitely open doors. I've seen it.
I live in a house trailer. This time of year, my front door, it barely needs anything to open. Yes. I have to actually use my top deadbolt if I want to keep it closed. Come wintertime, that door sticks and it's hard to open and close.
Yes.
So every house is, different ways can be like that.
Exactly. And that extends not just for manufactured homes,
It's
regular
all
built homes,
homes.
and it goes clear
Yeah.
into like castles. I mean, the earth is
Everything
constantly
settles
moving.
and moves. And
Yes. And then a lot of people they don't want to hear that. They want to
no,
hear that yes, it's a ghost. Everything that happens is a ghost. That piece of dust that just flew past, well, that was obviously great grandma. That's not true. And
no,
they're like, well, you don't believe. I do believe, but I'm not going to blindly believe. You know what I mean?
exactly.
So
Just because I walk into a location that people say are haunted, I do my own judgment, my own investigations. I don't just believe because someone supposedly had activity there.
right.
Now, I can go in and I might not get any activity, but someone else might. It depends on who they're willing to communicate with, who the spirits are willing to acknowledge. But it all boils down to is you have to look at it with open eyes all the
Yes.
way around.
Yes. Couldn't say
And
it better myself.
those that are going in there for thrills, your chances are doing more damage than good.
Yes. Yep. And I see this at like these events. You'll see someone is having an event at this house or manor, and they have all these teams with their team shirts on. And the first thing they're telling everybody is when this light goes off, it's a ghost. And I'm thinking, take off the team jersey, please, because you're not a paranormal investigator. Now you're just entertainment. So take the shirt off until you're ready to be a paranormal investigator. But I get a lot of flack for that. So maybe that's where your card draw is, because I get, I am not afraid to tell people what I think when it comes to the paranormal. That's for sure. And people,
I'm the same way.
Yep. People will get upset and they'll get hurt because I ain't afraid to tell it like it is.
Exactly. When you talk about teams, it's kind of funny because when I decided to step out and do this professionally, I wasn't going to join a team unless I had full trust in that team.
Yes.
And here to find out, an old friend of mine that I'd known for years, I'd worked with other projects, had started a team and was out doing this. And was doing this for the research and for the actual information, figure out what's going on, because he wanted answers of their own. So I joined the team going, okay, I know who you are. I know what you are. So therefore, I knew I could trust them. And because of that, things have progressed so much, so nicely, and we've been able to help so many different people, both with the home investigations or the public investigations and stuff like that. And we've been able to teach people the right way to do it.
Yes.
Where the biggest thing you got to remember, if you see it on TV, it's for entertainment.
Absolutely.
If you see it on YouTube, there's a half a chance they're actually doing it right.
Right.
You have to pay attention.
Yes.
And like this weekend, I met a great group of people. I was at the Moon Bowl Metaphysical Fair, one of Christina's events. I was set up as a vendor. I was at Broadhead Manor in Broadhead, Wisconsin. This place, hands down, 100% haunted, but it's all good spirits. It's the townspeople that had went to school there over the years. You have the principal, the janitor. You have some of the people that came back and had the best time of their life there as children, who chose to come back and be children there again. And it's great. And because I was there for the event, and the owners, are really good friends of mine, Bill and Ron, they allowed me to stay there their entire weekend. I actually got to sleep at this location and take part of the investigation they had, because they brought Sam Baltrusis in to walk through the manor and be kind of like the celebrity guest. And they had a couple other teams there. And this was the first time where I've actually worked with other people other than my own close niche or my own team outside in a location, and getting to watch these people. And I met some really good investigators and people that I actually enjoyed working with for that short bit of time for that night. That it was awesome, and they were really on the same wavelength as I was. So it was refreshing. I was really scared. I was going to go to this event, go do an investigation with these people, because it was an open investigation. You could have bought tickets, and I was afraid it was going to be a mockery, and I was going to have to turn around and say, "Sorry, guys, I check out. I'm done. I'm going to my room."
Right.
But instead, we did our thing all night long. We all got along great, and some evidence was captured. A few things that happened that really was the highlight of the night that I can't speak about right now. But if you guys are ever in southern Wisconsin and want to check out a location that is truly haunted, that is great. It's pretty peaceful, and it's Broadhead Manor. I can't speak enough about this place. I'm hoping that I can get my team to go down there and do our own investigation of it, just to have that experience again.
Yeah, I mean, if you get with some good people that are doing it for the right reasons, and it's not a social club,
yeah,
where you're just getting together with different people, and you want to see the little lights going off, blinking, and don't care what it's for, why they're blinking. But if you get with the right people, that makes it all the more better.
Yep.
Because now you're there for the right reasons. I don't care if people go to these places like Waverly and Penhurst. I don't care, but it's really taking away from the history of that building.
Yeah.
The names now are all changed around from the people that, when you very first went to these places, and they give you names of people that were there. And now, everyone's creating thought forms and creating new things, and it's just not the same. You really have to know your history of a location when you go into it. So yeah, it's a tough one, and it's not just the paranormal. It is like that for UFOs. It's probably like that in the doctor's office, I'm sure, in a hospital, wherever you go, it's bad. But it is really cutthroat now, and I keep hearing about some house, and I'm not going to say the name. There's all kinds of drama going on, and it seems like I see bigger and bigger names now doing their advice, and it's just like, hey, just let it go. The new owners want to do it their way, and I get that it's frustrating to everybody, but let them learn the hard way. It's either going to work or it's not. Let's not bash the place because you was there and now it's all completely changed.
Right.
That's a big problem in this field. Everybody, their opinions, it's great to have an opinion, but when you just start being nasty, then that's not.
It turns into drama, and we don't need it.
In fact, that's what it's called. It's called the drama of, such and such place. And I'm like, why? I mean,
yeah.
Let them do what they got to do.
I've been to events in the past where it felt like I was back in high school. Everyone's clicked up together and like you're saying, my stuff's better than this, or my stuff's better. We shouldn't be like that.
No.
There's no reason for it.
We're all out to learn what it is that's happening. Is it spirits that are talking into our recorders? I believe that voice recordings are that is extremely, to me, credible evidence, because where did the voice come from? So
right.
I mean, if you're by yourself and you're upstairs and nobody else is around, where did the voice come from?
Correct. I actually have a EVP on my phone. Last year I went down to Chicago to help a retired police officer with a cold case that he has kind of been following since he was a kid. I think that's what actually got him into the police work, was because what happened to this little girl. And we went out to the site where she was murdered, and we tried to make contact. We used different pieces of devices and pieces of equipment. Really didn't get nothing. And a lot of times I'll use one of my phones as a voice recorder. I have a digital recorder I use also, but for a backup, I let the voice recorder run on my phone with my mic that I'm using right now hooked up to it to see if it picks anything up. And after the, I guess you can call it investigation, I went back to my brother-in-law's house where I was staying, and I can't smoke cigarettes in the house. And at night, I'm a chain smoker, so I go out, sit out in my car, and I'm smoking a cigarette, and I'm having a heart-to-heart with the spirit going, man, I really wanted to get some answers here. I want to help, and so on and so forth. And I haven't looked down, and my phone's still recording. I'm like, what the hell? So I stop it, and I'm like, for shits and giggles, let's back up and see, what I got. So I'm listening while I'm smoking a cigarette, and here comes the EVP, clear as day, over the freaking over the phone. If you want, I can actually play that for you. See what you think of it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right,
I'm not sure. Just so everybody knows, if you're gonna listen to this, please do it with headphones on, so that you can hear it a lot better.
Yeah. Let's see here. All right. Oh, I got my sounds down. Hold on. I forgot I turned all my sounds off because. Could you hear that?
I heard what sounded like.
Sounds like two different voices. Or...
Well, the deep voice, the very deep voice that starts, that's me talking. I cut most of that out.
And then I hear a female.
Yep, the female is actually the EVP.
What is she saying? It almost sounds like, just quickly, it almost sounds like she's saying she needs help or something.
What I think, no, it's just my opinion, is let them know I'm in peace.
Ah, okay. All right.
It's like, let them know I'm at peace. So
That's
I don't know.
right.
I haven't had a chance to go through on a computer or anything like that, because I do everything off my phones nowadays. My desktop's in shambles in the bedroom.
Yeah.
So
that is an incredible capture, because where did the voice come from?
exactly. I'm sitting in the car 30 some miles away from the site by myself, and it had to been about 11, 12 o'clock at night. So no one's out. I'm just sitting there smoking a cigarette, talking, and then realized that. And like I said, for shits and giggles, I backed it up, and that I found that.
Yes, that's awesome. And see, I've had similar. I'll take you back kind of far. I had bought an Ovilus X when they first come out, so we're going back quite a ways.
Yep.
And I went to a lake that I knew someone had died in, and I started asking questions of what happened. I was like, "Could you tell me what happened to you here at this lake?" And it, it's an Ovilus. It kicks out drowned. I'm like, okay. So as it kept going, I was perplexed. I saved that whole thing because I'm like, look, this is pretty compelling that this thing's saying drowned and died. And, what's the odds of it actually saying that?
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, well, they can spit out random stuff that actually work. But what's the odds that I go to a place and say, look, I know someone had drowned it here, and I just trying to validate it, and it actually validates. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. It's reverse EVPs. I get a lot of those where you're not getting anything in forward, but as soon as you reverse it, they come right out. And it's like, wow, where did that come from? So we will definitely have to collaborate sometime.
Most definitely.
Just for fun. I have so much. How do I want to put it? I never say that I have actual paranormal. I either use possible or plausible. I have a huge possible and plausible pile.
Yep.
So, Jim, do you have anything you'd like to say or ask or anything?
Yeah, I have one more thing if we have time.
Absolutely.
I got all night.
So I have this thing happen to me. I think I've had this happen to me 3 times now, and it's just this kind of mystery that is still I have made no progress with. I run into people shamans normally. I think most of these are shamans, if not all three of them were shamans. One was more of a Reiki healer. And they tell me, you're part of the bird tribe. And they asked me questions, do you have any Native American ancestry? They're like, no, I don't think so, and this has been told to me 3 times, that I'm part of the bird tribe.
Okay.
And they kind of imply, and not like, I haven't really gotten the details. I don't have any contact with these people anymore. I would like to inquire about this, but it's this thing that keeps coming up, and I've been wondering about it. And I'm just wondering, like, is there some kind of connection that I have with Native Americans on somehow? And I've thought about this, and I do have like this weird thing with stuff that's Native American, especially music in particular, will bring me to tears instantly. Not everything, but like and I'm not normally like this, like with there's only, like, aside from Native American music, maybe like 2 songs that will make me cry. But Native American stuff just instantly causes me to be emotional for some reason. And I don't know what this is. I've wondered about the fact that, there was roughly, like, in America, I mean, the estimates are difficult to measure, like maybe like 18 million to 100 million Native Americans that pre-contact, that their numbers have been decimated. But I've always wondered, their souls are potentially still recycling, and are in bodies that aren't Native American anymore, that aren't of Native American blood necessarily. And that, being that there were such large numbers here before, there's a good percentage of people that might have European heritage in terms of their physical body, but might have a Native American soul.
I believe you were Native American in past life, and that's why you're drawn to that, and that's what they're picking up on. We carry our essence from our past lives with us. So therefore, it's in your energy and your vibration, especially the way the music affects you, because it's hitting your heart. And it's what it's hitting. It's most of your music, you hear it in your brain and resonates, then goes to your heart if you really like it. That drum and that flute music, it's tugging right at them heartstrings because you long for them days. That was a happier life that you felt 100% yourself in. So I'm thinking that's what it is, and just like Anthony said, it's your ancestors. You came from that lifestyle, and you still yearn for that lifestyle.
Yeah, like another thing is that me and my dad, we've always donated to Native American tribes, like all throughout my life. I never thought about that in relation to this, but then I thought, oh my God, like that's the one thing. We donated to some other things, but that's like one of the major things that one of the causes that, I don't know, really resonate with us, or my dad's dead now, but did resonate with him. But I also wonder if there isn't like some calling, like could there be, some behind the scenes kind of spiritual agenda, that we're being, I sense that. I don't know why, but
Okay.
but I sense that, like I don't know, that there's maybe something we have to do.
Kind of to tie in also on this one, get you thinking a little bit. My cousin, he's been on my show several times, Mr. Sean Stevens. He's really close to a traditionalist, as they call him. He goes out, he teaches the people out there in our homelands about our history and all that. And what he's noticing as he's teaching our culture to others, they're resonating with it, because back in the day, their ancestors, everyone's ancestors, long before we all grouped together and became this and became that, had their own version of a native culture, their own personal beliefs, from every continent. And a lot of the things that we believe in and that we teach and we talk and we still try to preserve are very similar to what everyone else's cultures were. But because how long they've been following their path and their roads, that culture has pretty much been wiped away just over time. It wasn't eradicated like ours was. It was just they lost it from not interacting with it, not practicing it. And that's where a lot of the Native American culture people are picking up on and trying to follow it because it feels natural to them. And that's because in their culture, there's things and aspects that's in their DNA, their makeup from their past that it's calling them. So it could be one of two ways. It could be that, or it could be, which I believe, you were a Native American in the tribes years before, and it was before this lifetime. And that's what's calling to you.
Right. I mean, that's a possibility, I guess. I never would have thought that. And now I'm really starting to consider that, and I just wonder, too, like if there isn't necessary or the need somehow to like revive, the Native American ways, or that spirituality that was lost, that there isn't maybe enough, full-blooded, Native Americans on the continent today, and to maybe do this themselves, and we all kind of need to get a movement going or something, to reconnect with that, and
to live like a native in the native ways. You don't necessarily have to be native. You don't have to be full blood. Some of our teachers out there, they're, just because they're not full blood, but they still live and teach the ways, of our ancestors. And there's people out there who are doing research that aren't native at all. They're doing the actual research and putting the time in to learn the different cultures, also to spread the word. So it's but I firmly believe you were in a past life a native, and if that's what's calling to you, do some more research. Reach out to people. I can give you names of different people that you can call upon that could possibly give you some information. One of them is a shaman from down in South Carolina.
Yeah, I'm also very much interested. I would very much like that. I'm also very interested in altered states, and maybe if we have a little bit of time, real quick. Do you delve into? You said you stare into a fire to, I think, achieve an altered state.
I kind of just zone out to it. Kind of like how when we were kids.
Yeah.
What's that?
But that's probably what that is, though. You're going into an altered state of consciousness.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things. You're dancing around a fire all night, spinning in a circle. There's a lot of different ways and natural ways and means to shift your state of consciousness.
Meditation will do that too. It's and then also you have different things that the different tribes used to use to help with that altered state when going into ceremonies, such as like peyote. You go into a sweat lodge, and you might have some peyote tea or some peyote buttons or something like that to help that vision quest to see the other side in order to communicate with the ancestors and stuff like that.
And it would make sense because we know people that do ayahuasca, and they are searching for them answers as well. So yes, it definitely makes sense.
I know guys that use shrooms, magic mushrooms, and that's the reason why they're doing it, because they're looking for answers, and it's the way for them to make that connection. So there's plenty of different ways. You don't have to use any kind of mind-altering substance to achieve that. That all is very well achievable through meditation. Willing it on. You know, um, with the fire with me, yeah, it does put me in a separate state. If I sit there and stand long, I zone everything out. You could be sitting next to me talking to me, and if I've been staring at that long enough, I won't hear you or see you because everything around me is black. All I see is tunnel vision on that fire.
And that is true. That is a definite definite trance medium.
Yep.
That there is no doubt about it, because that fire, if you look towards the bottom of those embers, they're flickering different colors, and the more you go up, it's all flickering. So yes, it is very much a translucent thing. It gets into your soul.
Yep. Yeah, and you'll see things. It might be something profound. It might just be something they go, "Oh wow, that was cool," and it all depends on what is needed at that moment.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Wow, that was interesting. Very interesting, Bobbie. I had a wonderful, fantastic time of learning, and I have no. I'm out of words, and usually I'm pretty good with words, but I've learned so much off of this podcast episode that I'm actually I'm so blessed to have had you come on.
Well, thank you. It's been an honor. It's been my honor to come on with you guys.
Yes. If people are looking to get a hold of you, Bobbie, where do they gotta go?
Facebook's the best way. Bobbie RezNeck Calkins. Also, you can reach me off of RezNeck Inc. RezNeckInk on Facebook, or RezNeckInk@gmail.com. If they're in the near future, if they want to see me, coming up in 2 weeks, I'll be in Madison for Rock the Annex. I'm setting up as a vendor down there. It's a paranormal thing going on. They have vendors during the days. They got speakers coming in, such as let's see who else who we got coming in there. We have Nick from 28 Days Haunted, and oh, he's gonna kill me. His partner on there. Drawing a mind blank. Hold on. This is gonna bug me. Nick and Aaron from 28 Days Haunted will be there.
All right.
And then Dave Schrader is gonna be there. And I guess there's a after party afterwards, a glow in the dark after party. So I'll be down there doing card readings, talking paranormal with everyone. Stop by the booth. Yep, Kimmy got it, Aaron. Another way is, I'll be up in Rylander, Wisconsin for a metaphysical fair in August 17th. So there's ways to catch me. If you want to meet me in person, I'm more than happy to sit and talk paranormal, Native American culture, or anything with anyone. Just, find one of the events, follow me on Facebook, and if I'm in the area, come on and see me. I'm very approachable. I know I'm a big ugly guy, but I don't bite unless I'm asked to.
Yeah, and regardless of us bigger guys, we're more bark than bite. So
yeah, I'm a big cuddly teddy bear unless you hurt me or one of my own.
Exactly.
You hurt one of my own, then I'm sorry, you're gonna get the other side of things.
Right.
But other than that, I'm a lover.
Yes. Well, Bobbie, I thank you so much. We have got to have you back on.
Anytime. I'm a phone call or a message away, my friend.
It was an incredible time, incredible experience. I want to thank everyone that joined in, giving us answers, opinions, questions. It was a blast. I had a very good time, and I want to thank everybody so much for your support. Bobbie, I will talk to you again. Jim, I will talk to you as well. If anyone has anything else they want to say real quick, stay tuned till after the show, and we'll go ahead and talk. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in with us tonight. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow to receive notifications when new content is made available. A Paranormally Beyond Disclosure is looking to talk with ufologists, researchers, investigators, contactees, abductees, channelers, and more for upcoming shows. Or if you have stories, photos, videos, questions, suggestions, or comments, please contact us through Messenger or email us at paranormallypodcast@gmail.com. You can also visit us at paranormallypodcast.com for more content and information, including all our social links. I thank you again for watching or listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode of Paranormally Beyond Disclosure.